This is CRM Audio, the Dynamics 365 podcast with Business Solutions MVPs George Dubinsky, Joel Lindstrom, and Sean, the CRM Hobbit Tabor. This episode is sponsored by KingswaySoft. KingswaySoft is a leading integration solution provider offering software solutions that make data integration affordable and painlessly easy. Thousands of enterprise clients from over 70 countries and regions rely on KingswaySoft to integrate data with various business systems in order to drive their business efficiency and fully leverage their information assets. Check out their website at KingswaySoft.com. We thank KingswaySoft for sponsoring CRM Audio, the Dynamics 365 podcast.
See, there you go.
Gentlemen, welcome to CRM Audio. How's everybody?
Well, I just had
again.
George, I don't know about you, George, but I just had this deja vu.
Absolutely, like
wow,
Groundhog episode.
Oh my goodness sakes!
Yeah, well, you could talk about the guy who forgot to hit the record button, but remember that same guy is the editor. All right, so let's get into the news for the week.
Sean,
what we got?
That.
Let's
Okay,
do that. What's new, Sean?
Well,
tell me about it. I haven't heard it.
Yeah, I know. This will be scintillating for you, George. Well, the first thing we would talk about is that Dynamics 365 version 9.02 is coming out. It's not 9.1 like most of us would have assumed. But basically, it's...
No, sorry. Let me correct you. Let me be pedantic. No, it's
Yes.
not 9.02. It's 9.0.2.
You're correct. Thank you for the correction. But
So
yeah,
the .02 is like a service pack.
right. They're doing it like the old school roll-up updates, you know.
Right.
But basically, this is focused on performance and stability, and they're going to be essentially upgrading orgs, existing orgs starting on April 7th. This isn't something you have to schedule. If you already have your upgrade to 9.0 scheduled, you will get 9.0.2. And I believe March 21st is when the release notes will be published and available to the general public, and March 28th is when we have the reveal of the features and functionality prior to it going live.
And for those of you that might be getting nervous about an upgrade and not being able to schedule it and test ahead of time, Microsoft is rolling out weekly updates now. And these are minor updates, which means things that don't materially change functionality or introduce new features. They may enhance features, like the email editors showed up in an out-of-band release that was a service update. So there may be things that are released, but they're not going to release new things other than things that are whole new solutions, like the marketing solution, which is going to be something that you have to license and turn on. It's not going to be something that marketing is going to automatically show up in your environment. Right. So again, and they have weekly updates. We've had people who've gone live who've noticed that on V9 that have noticed that their version number is changing once a week now.
You have customers who actually look at the version numbers?
Yeah,
we do.
We really do.
It makes some of them nervous, but it's the move to make it more of a seamless, more of a service where you just have the updates, and when there's when there's major new functionality or core platform that is major, then you schedule it. But and if the rule of thumb is if it's going to cause any downtime, they'll schedule a service window and let you know your environment may be unavailable between 6 and 8 p.m. or something.
Yeah, and this is I think we did talk about it, that this is something you can take credit for, because didn't one of your customers get?
Yeah, we had a couple of kind of showstopper issues, and working with Microsoft, we were told it's going to be in the next weekly build, and it was.
Yeah,
that's
but
pretty cool.
You didn't already mention you didn't take the full advantage of the opportunity. You come to the meeting and with a stone face you just say, "Let me take care of this." And then the next meeting, next weekly meeting, you show up and say, "I told you."
The problem with that is if I do that and then Microsoft doesn't have it ready, then I'm looking foolish. So
no,
it's also risk avoidance.
You play the stone face again, and you come in and say, "Trust me."
Yeah, it's good.
It's good. It's done. It's good.
So next up in the news, we had in advance again of the April release coming. the reveal of Business Central, which is basically...
Wait a minute. So what we have now, I just realized, we had never-ending July 2017, right? That rolled into October. Now we have April release that comes anytime except April. It's like all the announcements are in March, and the rollout will be in May.
Right.
Right, so it's anything but April.
Well, and I think what you're seeing is like an April release wave, right? So April is the beginning of the wave, and you
know what? I don't like waves; they make me throw up. So
I hear you.
Like,
yeah.
Wave goodbye to Navision. It's now Business Central.
That's right. Business Central is what used to be Navision. So that's the.
At least it's not the business center, so we don't argue about the spelling.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's like
R-E-E-R, yeah.
This is Microsoft's shot for the QuickBooks market.
Yep.
Yeah. Did mention that you don't win QuickBooks war by winning customers. You win those wars by winning accountants. In Australia for years, when desktop was the king, the product was MyUp. Why? Because MyUp threw money at training accountants at the last year of their whatever they get, bachelor degree or whatever. So at the last year, they delivered free courses, accounting courses for accountants. So freshly baked accountants, when they stepped out of the college or uni, they knew my product. So when they start setting up their own practices or joining existing practices, there was no argument which product to choose. There was no argument, which back office software to choose. There was no any argument which software to recommend to the customers. So Microsoft really need to cover the back office, cover the accountants and financial advisors beyond the capability of, here's the login into yet another freaking customer system, right? So they need to cover work done by financial advisors, accountants, give them aggregates, give them figures, give them financial analysis tools, not just front-end tools for the customers. That's how you win those wars.
And I just met with my accountant to do my taxes, and they're actually using.
You actually meet accountant to do taxes? I do it by email.
No, I like to. I feel better about it, but I asked them what they use, and it was a Thomson Reuters product, which is interesting. So that must have
Thomson Reuters. I thought they're into media these days. Gee.
Yeah.
That's the company. Like you never know. It surfaces every here and then, like whack-a-mole.
Right.
Exactly.
30 years ago they were into share trading. Then they're into media.
Yep.
Now they're into back office accounting.
Exactly. So the next news item after Business Central is Dynamics 365 Saturday finally came to the U.S.
I've got slogan now. I finally figured it out. Dynamics 365, taking over your life, including weekends.
Yeah, if you listen to the live recording that you did for the special episode last week, Roz was great and talked about kind of the difference in the U.S. and Europe, and I think if done right, it could work for U.S. as well. Just need to find cities that have people close proximity and MVPs and other people that you can have a good turnout on a Saturday. I think you've got a certain Atlanta or New York or someplace like that. Probably some places on the West Coast as well.
Well, and he made a point of talking about how it was initially created for developers, and how a lot of the content is deeper dive for developers, and he's finding that as it grows, some of that more functional content is needed. So there's a little bit of a shift, but I could see how a lot of developers would want to come out on a Saturday and do a hackathon. I mean, I would.
So now, I think, is CRM Saturday or Dynamics 365 Saturday,
You're not a developer, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, I'm not a developer. I said,
I want to come on Saturday and do a hackathon.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
You could have a hackathon where you do configurations or something. But here's the question.
Hackathon.
Here's the question for you: Is Dynamics 365 Saturday free, or is there a charge for it?
I don't. I think
It's free.
Yeah, I think it's free.
So here's the question: is do you think that an event that is free? I find sometimes events that are free are perceived as lower value than events that have a nominal fee to them. It's kind of like you list a piece of furniture on Craigslist and you say free. Nobody will call you up, but if you put $50 on it, you get a bunch of calls because they think there must be something wrong with it.
You're talking about when the guy couldn't get rid of the fridge. He put it outside and say free, and then he just put the label on it saying $50. And
I had a friend who was selling a big armoire. It was for an old big TV, and he listed as free, and nobody came for it, and he put like $25. So I'm wondering if that holds true for events, because you got CRMUG that you have to pay to be a member to go to the event, and then you've got other things like even CRMUG Summit or regional events. So I'm just curious, if charging a small fee, that way you could have maybe some food or something.
Well, and it's on their website. There's on the FAQ, why is Dynamics 365 Saturday free? And it says Dynamics 365 Saturday is free because it's organized directly by Microsoft MVPs in collaboration with Microsoft rather than a third-party company. As Microsoft MVPs, our contributions are only regarded as community-related. There is no cost involved.
Right, but it doesn't have to go to the MVPs. You could have the organization Dynamics 365 Saturday. Anyway, that's beside the point. What's the next story?
It's really perception.
Yes, as I said, like there's so many conferences. Like I'm going the Dynamics 365 Saturday. There will be 3 Saturdays in Australia, Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth in May. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to be in them because one of them I'm going to be most of the time in Europe at that time, because from Australia, once you go to Europe, you never want to leave. It's like so far, like it's one way, and then maybe sometime later. But there will be Build conference around the same time, and Build is the only conference where I actually pay money. Guys, I don't pay to attend conferences, so this is the only conference where I pay, and it's serious money. And funny enough, the content of the conference later available online. So it's kind of one of those conferences where you say, why would you even pay to go? Why would we even go? But because it's all about the future, it's all about future engagements, and it's really interesting. It's the place to be. With the charging for free events and making them to be perceived a better value, I think once you start introducing charge, there's also the opposite effect. Well, not the opposite, but kind of slightly different effect, that you get rid of tire kickers, and the people who come in, they're more focused because they put the money in because they do see value, and they come in with the intent of getting the value out of the conference. So it makes the whole event better.
Right. Yeah. What's the next story?
The next story is the Resco Next conference. Scott LaFonte and I presented at the Resco Next conference this week, and it was quite a fun conference, and it was interesting that a conference built around a single ISV and a single product could be that fun and exciting, and that diverse of topics. So it wasn't just field service. There was some Resco mobile sessions. There was some tips and tricks. There was an outstanding Woodford Reserve tasting that we recorded outside of.
I should have gone to the con.
Oh, no, George, you would have loved this. I mean, it was nice. They had 3 different versions. They had chocolate bonbons to cleanse your palate between each taste. It was nice.
Who cleansed chocolate bonbon? Use ginger to cleanse your palate.
Well, I heard a phrase that Microsoft uses called parity plus one, which means if you want to be an ISV and be successful, you can't just be equivalent to what Microsoft has out of the box. You need to be that plus adding value, and I think that's where Resco does with the more robust offline capabilities. Yep. Letting you go a totally different way for configuration if you want to. It has a place, and so again, I think Resco's doing the right things and has made peace with Microsoft and has a very solid product.
Sean,
Absolutely.
so you work with Resco, so with field service.
Yeah.
So the field service client is still a Resco client, right?
Yes. The primary client is a Resco client, but I mean, you can deploy the Dynamics 365 mobile client and expose the field service objects, but the primary for most engagements is the Resco client.
I think one factor there is if your users are using the Dynamics 365 app for other things, like you have app modules that they use inside the application. In some cases, it might make sense, but the Resco field service app is so tailored and has the routing and everything like that that it makes sense.
Do they support campaign responses?
No, but there will be access to customer journeys with the new marketing app, so we're good.
But the Resco mobile CRM license that you get as a field service licensed user does not allow you to expose things like leads or opportunities to sales entities.
But if you do, actually, George, if you do have the full Resco, not just the field service, you can expose campaign responses. So all the people that want to do campaign responses on mobile, go with Resco, and you can do it.
Hold on, can we stop recording? I need to take the headache tablet, you guys. Using headache with all the mobile talk.
All right, let's go to the next story. We got
all right. Next story.
3 more stories here.
Yeah, next story. CafeX had a new release that had a lot of features and functionality for omnichannel. There's some really cool, neat stuff with chat and co-browse sessions in either a one-way or two-way voice or video call across any browser without the need of any download or plugin, which is cool. You have extended bot capabilities. I'm really impressed with their bot capability. The agents can delegate routine and transactional requests to bots. You also have access to a new transcript API that allows you to access chat transcripts and analyze the data to better understand the customer intent. And there's some new enhanced compliance and security standards with masking of sensitive data. For example, PCI, PHI, PII.
Yeah, interesting. People make mistake believing that the CafeX. I know it's all confusing, but CafeX, the product that integrates with the Dynamics, right? Its backbone is Live Assist.
Correct.
So whatever capabilities, and the first time I looked into it, and so once you pass this integration bit and go into pure Live Assist configuration, that's really impressive product. And like no offense, but you don't have to use Dynamics 365 to take advantage of Live Assist. So you can plonk it into your website. Where the integration does come in, where you capture the chat transcripts, you make them searchable, you can analyze them. Oh, interesting. Relationship Insights. Can it look into chat transcripts?
Relationship Insights right now, no.
Any insights?
There's not an action card for chat transcripts.
Okay, not yet. Okay, that would be interesting to analyze sentiments.
It would be good to pop an action card based on that sentiment and
customer wasn't happy, or customer was inquiring about product X continuously.
Right.
And if you want to learn more about that, listen to last Friday's interview with the CafeX folks on At Your Service.
That's right. We had a really good conversation about omni-channel communication and
versus multi-channel, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So you know how I explain to students when omni-channel versus multi-channel? Omni-channel, that's live, where you don't have to repeat your credit card number, your customer number on the phone call to every single agent you transfer to.
That's not a bad way to describe it. Yeah,
it's a very loose definition, but you know the situation when you say, "What's your customer number?" 1, 2, 3, and then let me transfer to someone who can help. They transfer and say, "What's your customer number?" I say, "I just told you." It's like punch it into your keypad. Yep. You punch it and then you connect. So, what's your customer number? It's like I just punched it into keypad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I love my favorite omni-channel story from my wife is when she gets the IVR, she talks completely differently than she would if it was an actual human.
I do too.
Yeah, no, she's very, very polite, and you hear her voice change to this, and 1, 2. Yeah. It's very funny. But
when you speak to people with accents, you speak slow and loud.
That's right. It's the only way they can understand American.
That's right.
What else we got?
All right. Next up, this is a brief one. They did update Microsoft Social Engagement. The biggest change.
Joe, you really need, when you're editing, can you add the crowd cheering? They updated the social engagement, like, whoa, and the crowd goes wild.
And what did they add to it?
The biggest thing I could see is usability improvements, extended tweet length, as well as compliance stream for Twitter, Tumblr, and WordPress.
Wow.
Whoa, so Joe, instead of sending 7 tweets, you can now send 3.5.
That's right. That's right. And then the last news story we had is, last one.
I wonder if we can fit all the tips of the day into 280 characters now. Like the entire tip. Boom, 1 tweet.
See, now that should be a challenge. All new tips.
CRM tweet of the day.
Yeah.
Ooh,
there you go.
I like that.
I'm not going to lie. I tried doing that with my Dynamics 365 Haiku. I got a good month in, and then got sick, and then it was over. So that's hard. That's hard to do. But the last news story I have is CRM UG Summit in the U.S. later this year. The call for proposals is currently live, and the closing date on that is April 20th. So if you're interested in presenting at CRM UG Summit in Arizona later this year, get your proposal in. I submitted 3 today.
I got to get my proposal in. And we added one to the list at the last minute, which is some of the GDPR changes are starting to show up in Dynamics. People notice that there is a...
That's cool. Yeah, I like it.
People notice that there's a field, a permission in security roles now to allow you to delete audit records, which I wish we had 4 years ago when I moved our 80-gigabyte database. I made a copy of it in the sandbox.
But is there a delete button, actually, the permissions apply to?
I'm not sure. I saw the. That was the question. What's the interface for deleting him? Because again, I had a case where I had audit turned on and I copied our production org to a sandbox, and it made an audit record for each record in the system, and we had almost 100 gigabytes tied up in audit logs for 3 months with the inability to delete them because up to now you haven't been able to delete anything except the non-current audit partition, which lasts 3 months.
I remember that's fun days where our solution, ISV solution, when we installed it, it's inadvertently switched on audit flag, and it blew up customer storage.
Right.
Very quickly.
Which I'm getting. I've kind of been getting a little tired to get on any kind of call or meeting or CRM UG meeting, and it's like GDPR is like the new Y2K. Everybody's freaking out, and I just want to say, we'll manage. We'll be okay. But the takeaway I have is all the changes they're making for GDPR are going to be really good for data cleanliness and being able to delete stuff you haven't been able to delete thus far, and more easily identify where people are in your system, and that's a good thing whether you care about GDPR or not.
I've got feeling lately that all the spammers, they switch in attention to US and Australia because they suddenly got floods of spam in the last couple of weeks. I guess they exodus from Europe, and they just switch and saying who else we can spam who doesn't have GDPR.
Right, but they're all in Nigeria somewhere. So do they care about GDPR?
They do if they have British customers or European customers. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But here's a fun game you could play during the live episode that we recorded at Resco Next. See if you can tell when Gus and Scott LaFonte are trying to get me to say GDPR so that Scott can punch me. That was fun.
Oh, that was the deal?
Yeah, that was their little game.
Come to Dublin and I'll punch you for free.
Well, I don't want to be punched. But and also Mark Smith just recorded an episode with Mohammed Mustafa, and they talked all about GDPR. That's a great episode.
Yeah, we've had some really good episodes lately, and We're not expecting everybody to listen to all of them, but take a look at what we have. This is like a CRMUG summit that never ends. You can pick the ones you want and ignore the ones you think are boring, and it's good.
We got something for everybody.
The things that Neil and you guys and everybody are doing, and we got Ulrich on the Power BI podcast. So, I'm excited about what's coming this Wednesday. Ulrich talks about security and some of the really, like, how do you really deal with the complex sharing POA scenarios when you're working in Power BI? The answer is you really can't, but you can come close.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
but yeah. I think I'm pretty excited. We do span the gamut on Dynamics 365 and what you could talk about. So there is a little something for everybody.
Well, George,
and we can waste your weekends too.
That's right.
Well, George, glad to have you back here. This is a little shorter episode because I forgot to hit the record button, but it's a good one. You're up to date.
Yeah, well, look, it's good to be here because every time I kind of switch on my phone, it's like, there's a new episode of CRM Audio, and I'm kind of, wait, what? And somehow I managed to miss like 2 or 3 with all the traveling.
The news is you haven't been voted off the island, George, so that's good.
Yeah.
Not yet,
but you got that going for you.
I just got the email. You have to do your contributions and blah, blah, blah. But I've been busy. I've been to Korea, and you see the outcome. Yep. Donald and...
now Trump's going to talk to Kim Jong-un, and
it's
all George's doing.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. What's the worst that could happen? George could create World War III. Great.
Well,
good job, George.
They very... I went on the shoulder of the Olympic Games, like a closing ceremony, so I made sure that people, don't steal stuff when they leave Korea and switch off the lights. But then the only free day I had in Seoul, it managed to fall on a national celebration of Independence Day. And B, it was raining. The only day when it wasn't sunny was raining. So I ended up like walking the streets with 200,000 Koreans yelling something and waving Korean and American flags, and all in drizzling rain. So that was a miserable experience. But that was interesting and miserable. So, but as I understand, they celebrate independence from America. So why would you wave American flag? That was... I'm not sure what they celebrated. You can cut this out, Joe.
I'm not sure.
Ignorant. It's independence, but not sure of what.
I'm not sure. Well, gentlemen, good episode, and we'll talk to you next time.
See you.
This has been CRM Audio, the Dynamics 365 podcast. Send us your feedback at voice@crm.audio. Check out our other shows at crm.audio, or subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and any place else podcasts are offered. This podcast is a production of Dynamics Podcast, LLC.